Hello, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm finally ready to show you guys how I built out my little turtle home, born out of the necessity of not being hunched over all the time. I've taken a couple of smallish trips, and as you can see in my previous videos, and the dominant feature of those trips was number one, having to be hunched over if I wasn't lying down, and number two, it was very cold and wet. Those shells are not designed to be watertight, and I loved that it provided some shelter, but if I was going to do this on the scale I envisioned, I needed something more. There were a couple requirements that felt a little more pressing besides the headroom. One is that I wanted to be a little more stealth. I didn't necessarily want to see out, and I definitely didn't want anyone to be able to see in. I'm not trying to not look like a camper, but a little under the radar was a desirable feature. Also, I have a little dog, and I knew he would do a little better and be a little more relaxed if he didn't have to react to every single thing he saw moving outside. But I also wanted some daylight, so I decided to use some Lexan that I had on hand to make a skylight, and then I realized if I worked it right, I could create a window within which I could store my Blue Eddy solar panel and hopefully be able to charge my power bank while I'm driving. Being able to see the stars at night ended up being such a lovely bonus. So privacy, but with a view, which feature number one, and I also wanted, even though I didn't want a window, a way to look out if I thought it necessary, but maintain a little safety. So I wanted to make a Dutch door. I wanted to be able to open the door if I ever got the knock, if you know, you know, without having to expose myself unnecessarily. But I've never built a door before, Dutch or otherwise. As I've been saying a lot lately to myself, boys do it, how hard can it be? So that was feature number two. So I took a few measurements and building commenced. If you know me at all, you know I'm the queen of the jerry riggers. I've had a lifelong passion for doing things without a blueprint, mostly because if there's a blueprint, that means there's another one of whatever I'm making, and I don't like that. I value my individuality, and my camper is proof of that. So with a fairly clear as mud idea in my head, I began to put it together and modified the plan when I thought of things. The skylight was a good example. I knew I wanted one, and I knew how big it needed to be, and once I had the general form, I realized that whatever I did, it would work better if it were sloped to allow for runoff. The whole camper is made with 2x2 construction, but I left the two beams along the middle top as 2x4s so that the sides had a gentle slope once the roof was on. Between that and the gentle curve I carved into the cross members, the Lexan has a nice curve that allows rainwater to run off even when I'm not driving. This chirked me up immensely when I realized this before final construction, no teardown necessary. The Lexan is plenty flexible and has weathered the road travel perfectly. I also knew that I needed to caulk every seam so that it would be weather tight, so I did do the research about all the ways I could make sure that no rain could get in. I'm happy to report that I have had 0 leaks in the first 2,000 miles, and I have survived a couple of real gully washers. I did find one tiny leak while under construction just by accident. A tiny bubble in the caulking left a little pinhole in a joint, and I would not have caught it without the first rainfall being while it was still a skeleton. But I did, and that prompted me to go over every seam with a fine-tooth comb, and I'm happy to say the extra effort paid off. Butyl tape and 3 layers of RV roof paint don't hurt either. The rest of the build was pretty straightforward. I had to get to a certain point, then switch gears and put the foundation on the truck so that I could get a precise width measurement. From there, it was just a matter of making sure things were well attached and seams filled as I went along. One of my happy little accidents was the little overhang at the back. I planned on getting it up on the truck, then cutting it down to size, but realized when it was up there that it created a nice little porch feature, so it stayed and I'm pleased. The door was another story. It took me 3 tries to get a door I was happy with. I way over-engineered the first one, and once I got it installed, realized what I was overthinking and that I could do it simpler, so I rebuilt it from scratch. Then realized I made it way heavier than it should be. So back to the drawing board. I now have a door that closes easily, stays locked, and has a little Dutch door that opens when I'm inside so that I can see out the back of my riglet. I've always been a tiny house girl, and this latest iteration is just about as small as I can go, but it has everything I need and most of what I want, and I'm making it more of a home every time I go out. I've parked in a couple places where I've been able to hear the comments of people walking by, and I'm happy that people see what I see in it, which is a thoughtfully constructed little turtle home.